Tonight we're going to talk about the keys to economic independence. And, there have been virtually libraries written about this subject. And tonight we only have a few minutes. So my only intention is to help frame some ideas that could be incorporated into your plan. All right. So this is just going to help you start creating an outline. And then through our various activities and further webinars that we might do, we can start filling in the blanks to a large degree. Okay, so that's the objective for tonight. The objective of this issue in creating economic independence is that each of us is able to create multiple streams of income, which of course is private. You don't need to tell anybody about it. And you can keep all of it. I don't need to explain that any further, I don't think. Okay? So that's where we want to go. To really create a portable job or occupation, that's really where we need to go to put you in a position, to put each of ourselves in a position where we can create multiple streams of income, which are yours, simply yours to keep. All right? With that, you can accomplish so many other things. Some people need to ask the question, why? Well, why do I need to do that? I mean, my goodness, I've got a good job. I'm well set. I've got a little bit of savings and, my home is half paid for and this, that, and the other thing. Well, if that's you saying that, or anybody who would ask that question simply is not well informed about what's going on in the world. Okay? We've got political risks to consider. The world is sliding down a slippery slope into socialism and outright communism. And if you can't see that in the United States happening right before our very eyes, then you're simply not paying attention. It's just that simple. We've all heard Obama. Oh, you got a business? Well, you didn't build that. The people who made the roads and the banking financial structure and the government regulatory structure, they were all involved in helping you build your business. So you can't take credit for your business. And the IRS told me that one time when I earned a big bonus back in the day. And I had quite an argument with them. and I ended up keeping the bonus. They didn't get any of what they wanted. All right. And now just recently, Obama went to Cuba and he was giving a speech to young, I think, university students. And basically, message of his speech was equating communism and capitalism, both having, and he says, there's good things in each of those systems, and you need to just take a part of one and take a part of the other and take the best out of both of them and make it work. And what he's doing is he's conditioning the mind to accept communism as a reasonable alternative to a free market capitalistic society. Look at Bernie Sanders. He's an outright unabashed socialist. And you can see this happening all around us. It's obvious. And if you can't see that, what you need to do, you need to get a little bit better informed. And the best source I would say to do that is go to Infowars.com, follow Alex Jones. He is one guy that has it all together. And he can connect the dots. He sees what's going on. He sees the globalist agenda and where we're headed with this. And it's not conspiracy theory. It's fact. It's out in the open. It's documented. We're watching it happen. Okay? These things are happening. And to deny it is simply to avoid the obvious. So political risks are significant in the world around us at this point in time. And of course, that just leads us directly to economic risks. Okay, what's happening with the economy? 23% of people in their prime working years, are unemployed currently. The Baltic Dry Index, which measures freight and cargo rates on ocean vessels, is at an all-time low. Merchandise is not moving. People are not buying. And when that happens, What happens to the business in the ports? What happens to the distribution channels? What happens to advertising and marketing? When sales aren't occurring, what happens to thousands and thousands of chain stores across the country that are closing up right now as we speak? Okay, there are serious economic risks. And that job that you have right now, in all likelihood, may not be there when you need it the most. All right, so you cannot be dependent on a job. You can't control the economy, and the economy is what controls your employer. All right, there's wartime risks. Look what's going on around the world. I mean, I don't need to tell you that there are things flaring up everywhere. And don't think you're immune because you live in the United States. You should be quite aware of what's going on with the migrant crisis, not only from the southern border, but the Muslims that are being imported. Did you know that out of every 200 Syrian refugees, only 2 on average out of 200 are Christian? Why is that, you think? Reliable sources estimate that well over 50% of the Muslim refugees that are coming into the country are Al-Qaeda and ISIS sleeper cells. The plan is very simply to create chaos, just like you've seen in Paris a couple months ago, Brussels last week. This is going to be happening with increasing frequency. And the result of that is going to be imposition of martial law, which is exactly what they did in France. They'll be doing the same thing in the United States. And when you've got strict controls on movement, finance, everything related to that, what's that going to do to the economy? What's that going to do to your local area? Civil unrest is going to unfold. And we won't even talk about stirring up the race riots, which George Soros and his ilk are doing, okay? I hope this is not news for you, okay? I hope you're informed, you see these things coming because it's fact. If you're not, like I said, I don't have time to get into it tonight. Go to Infowars.com or Prison Planet TV. Follow Alex Jones. I watch him almost every day. He does a 4-hour radio broadcast, which is also put on videotape. You can find him on YouTube. Alex Jones channel, or actually his shows are broken down into 1-hour segments on YouTube on the Ron Gibson channel. Just do a search for Ron Gibson and you'll find all the Alex Jones videos there. Best source I can recommend to really be fully informed without any varnish, with just telling it like it is, okay? So we've got civil unrest looming around the corner from us, wartime risks, natural disasters. Don't need to tell you about that. We've got man-made, natural-looking disasters. Maybe you know about the HARP, weather modification systems. You know about the San Joaquin Valley, how they shut down all agriculture, forced 60,000 jobs to move out of the San Joaquin Valley simply because the excuse was they wanted to save an endangered minnow. Yeah, well, I don't think so, really. It's a social experiment. Okay, there's open talk about ISIS going after nuclear reactors, and they came very close in a couple of occasions. All right, look at Fukushima. All right, how many people were uprooted from their homes in that disaster? Okay, let's talk about monetary risks. If you know anything about the economy, you know that because of the debt load, you know that because of the BRICS nations forming their own alternative to the petrodollar, you know, China, Russia, and a host of other countries are looking for alternative ways of getting away from the U.S. petrodollar and using other currencies. Already many countries have stopped buying U.S. debt. That debt being bought by the Chinese and other countries around the world is what funds the EBT cards. You know, all the liquor and tattoos that these welfare people are buying. What happens when that stops? Okay, so do some research into what's happening with the US dollar and how all pundits, all financial insiders are planning. They're not just thinking about, they're planning for a total collapse of the US dollar. So what happens to your business when the dollar collapses and it doesn't buy anything anymore? So diversification is at a premium. So I don't want to be a purveyor of doom and gloom. To the contrary, that's why I'm here to offer some ideas, some solutions, at least possible solutions to consider as we deal with the realities of this world and start thinking about how are we actually going to deal with it, okay? So bottom line here is that we need to have economic independence and not be tied down to a single location because of a job, because of that's where our employer is, okay? So enough of that. The result of creating multiple streams of income that you can keep is, number one, you've got no more dependence on a job. You are no longer location specific or location dependent, okay? You will have complete mobility. And that is key. With the world that we're living in today, you need to have the ability, not that you want to, or not that perhaps you need to right now, but you need to have the option of being mobile if or when that becomes necessary. All right. And these are things you must be thinking about. Cash flow gives us the ability to live in abundance. And to me, that means living the lifestyle of your dreams, not having a need for anything in particular that's terribly important. And living in abundance also means that you can live where you want to, not where you have to. You can start living your dream. And really, what's more rewarding than that, which is so far, you're just serving yourself, right? Living in abundance really gives you the ability to be in a position to help others. And that's a real joy in life. And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about when you can actually reach out and help improve someone else's life in a way that they appreciate. They can see the love that you have to share with them and that you really care. And you can actually, make a positive impact on someone else's life. But we can't do that if we're helpless ourselves, can we? If we're stuck in a rut, don't have the economic means to do anything, we can't help. How can we help others if we can't help ourselves? Okay? So this is the position that we need to put ourselves into. And, quite honestly, I've never really had much money to speak of, but people look at my lifestyle and they go, oh my God, he must be rich. And just a couple of examples. So I remember in my early 40s, I'm 58 now, just before Y2K, I scraped together every dime and nickel that I could and worked my butt off. And I bought a motorhome, 37-foot motorhome with 3 slides. And it was just gorgeous, beautiful. And so I remember at the gas station one time filling up. And this guy looks at me, and he's older than I was, and he looks at me, he looks at the RV, and he says, hey, you're too young to be retired. What are you doing? I says, hey, where's the rule book? I didn't see that one. And anyway, I'm not going to carry on about that, but I am truly blessed, and I've been able to establish the life of a king. I'm a pauper on paper, but I live like a king. I don't have much money. Really, I don't. And some of you who know me well know how true that is. But I live like I do, and isn't that the key, And my point is that I've been able to do that by implementing these principles that I'm talking about. It's not terribly difficult. You don't need tons of money to live a different lifestyle. It just takes dedication, devotion, commitment, and a willingness to put together a plan and to implement it. So, where do we start with all this?